My name is Brian Weiser. I am the chair of the Department of Biology, Marine Biology, and Environmental Science. I want to wish you all a very warm and hearty congratulations for your acceptance to Roger Williams University. That's a great accomplishment. And we are here to answer any questions you have about the program today. I just in the short cook's tour of the program, I would just say we really value the hands-on experience here. There are lots and lots of different opportunities available to students so that students can get very different experiences here. So there's, I really think, something for everyone. And I hope you'll ask some questions about that, especially to Olivia, who has taken advantage of lots of different opportunities that we have here. I'll just finish by saying that I teach in the marine biology program. I teach a course on seaweed biology, hence my background. Also one on microalgal biology, so phytoplankton biology. And I also teach in the general science education program. And I teach a study abroad course in Panama called Neotropical Marine Biology. So it's nice to meet you. I look forward to fielding some of your questions today.
I guess I can go next. Hi, everyone. I'm Professor Lauren Byrne. I span between biology and environmental science. So I'm primarily here representing environmental science today since Dr. Marston is here on behalf of biology. And I'm a soil ecologist by training and also work in urban systems. And I teach those courses as well as intro bio. I'm also involved in the sustainability studies program, if you have any questions about that. And as part of my background, I have training in the arts as well. So I feel very fortunate to be able to be teaching a course in biological illustration for any of you that might have that art science connection interest. Many students do that, and we have a great time there. So for the environmental science program, I'm happy to answer any questions specifically about that, as well as, of course, speak to ecology issues, being the ecologist in the room also.
Hi, I'd like to welcome all of you. I'm Marcy Marston. I have been at Roger Williams for 25 years, and I am a geneticist by training, but I study viruses, and but not viruses that infect people. I study viruses that live out in the ocean. And so I teach the genetics course and lab, and I love being in the lab with students, and we have a lot of fun isolating DNA in the genetics lab, both from other organisms and from each of the students. And I also teach virology, the study of viruses, which is ongoing right now, and I don't need to say much more about viruses at this point. I also teach bio and in the core program, the senior seminar on disease and society. So welcome, and looks like we have some good questions here, so we'll take a look at those.
Hi, Emma. Hi, my name is Olivia Markham. I'm a senior. Wait, is my thing on mute? Oh, sorry.
We can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm a senior currently, graduating this spring. I am a marine biology and aquaculture and aquarium science double major. And I also have a minor in visual arts in sculpture and ceramics. Yeah, I guess I have taken advantage of a lot of things here at school. I'm an RA. I had multiple positions down in the wet lab and I worked on there, and as well as I worked on a senior thesis project this year, and am currently going through that whole process as well. Trying to think of what else. I also have another job on stage crew, and we're involved in lots of different groups on campus. But let me know if you have any questions about student life.
So it looks like we had our first question in the chat. I'm going to repeat it just in case there were some folks who didn't hear. So the question was asked by Chloe. Chloe, thanks for that. How many students are in the biology department? And Professor Weiser did answer on the chat, but I'm going to let him answer via audio as well.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Chloe. Thanks for asking. And that number may be a little on the high side, but somewhere, so incoming students last year, we had about 100 new students in the marine biology program, a little bit more than that in the biology program. Our environmental science program is a bit smaller. I think there were about 15 new students. So that's just the incoming students. So we're somewhere in that 300 to 400 student range across all of our programs in the department. There are a number of majors like architecture, sometimes engineering, our forensic science program that also take a lot of our courses. So some of our introductory coursework in particular has a lot of sections, and so you might be in class with a biology major, with an architect, with somebody taking sustainability studies, with somebody in forensic science. So there's a real broad mix, and that plays very nicely into some of the other courses that you take as part of your university requirements, like the senior seminar, where you have a chance to specialize on a topic, but you've got a lot of different majors represented in that class. And so everybody kind of brings their own personal and professional disciplinary perspective on a common problem.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. You followed up at the right time. How much are lab fees, and how many labs will a person take through the 4 years?
I'm happy to field that question. Lab fees currently, I think they were $450, $440 per lab section. You, in any given semester, a natural science major, so that would be bio, marine bio, or environmental science, chemistry, biochemistry as well, would expect to take 1 or 2 laboratory courses on average across your 8 semesters. So those laboratory fees are above and beyond the tuition, but there is an initiative to bring laboratory fees down, but that hasn't been implemented yet.
Can I just add that most of our classes have, or many of our classes have labs. And so the way that works is a 3-hour lecture a week and then a 3-hour lab. And so there are just 3 credit upper level classes as well, but many of the classes have labs, which I think is a real benefit because you get a chance to do science. Like you're in the lab for that 3 hours learning about how to do the science that you're reading in the textbook or in journal articles. So you are going to be in lab a lot, but I think that's the fun part.
And also for all 3 of the majors, the first 2 introductory courses in your first year both have labs as well. For environmental science, it's an intro Earth systems class, which involves a lot of geology and some freshwater work. The bio and marine bio students take intro to bio or oceanography. Actually, that's just changed. Oceanography also has a lab for marine bio students. And then all 3 programs in the spring take introductory evolution and ecology that has a lab. Growing some plants, getting out in the field when the weather warms up like today. And then
Olivia,
a range of upper level courses.
I'm sorry, Dr. Byrne. Olivia, could you speak to your experience in the laboratory courses? Maybe just give us some perspective on how they have played into your understanding of science and your career outlook and so on?
Oh yeah, of course. As a double major, I think I took around 2 or 3 labs every semester, so a lot of labs. They are the fun part of class, if I had to say so myself. So you get to do a lot of cool stuff in them and actually get that hands-on experience, which as a hands-on learning person myself really helped a lot. So it takes the stuff that you're learning in class from a textbook, from the whiteboard and stuff, and puts it right in front of you, which is really, really cool. And also it just helps visualize everything, at least for me. All of the labs are different though, so depending on how professors teach and stuff. So some of them will be more research based, where you're doing projects and stuff, and some of them will be directly from class, kind of what we're looking at. So, but they're really fun.
I would
And just so folks know, I did just look up the lab fees, and for the year 2021, the lab fee per course is $350.
Oh, great. That's context.
I can share the link to that information in the chat. Go ahead, Professor Weiser.
Thanks. I was just going to add a comment to what Olivia said, that it's the labs really are a great opportunity to get out in the field. In my seaweed biology class, for example, I take students out to the field 3 or 4 times over the course of the semester. Rhode Island has a bountiful marine flora, so it's great to get students out and actually in the water, snorkeling, wading. It's a very, very important element of my lab. Not all of the labs are like that. Some labs are more specimen-based in the laboratory period, doing animal dissections, for example, or experimental work, as Olivia had pointed out. And I'll just comment that for incoming marine bio majors, Dr. Byrne had referred to that introduction to oceanography course that we just switched to. And we moved that to a first year experience because we wanted to take advantage of a newly acquired research vessel. So there again, 3 or 4 of the labs are out, on that boat or in the intertidal. And it's one of the great things that we can leverage at Roger Williams University is our waterfront campus, that we really operate as a marine station right there. We're not spending a lot of class time getting to a dock, getting on a boat and going out, but boat pulls up to our learning platform right on campus, and you head out. So you really can take advantage of the 2-hour, 50-minute laboratory period of getting out, doing field research and activities out on the water.
I just want to go into one of the next questions, which asks from Ian, is there any collaboration between different majors? For instance, would marine bio majors ever work with environmental science majors? And the answer to that is absolutely. And so a number of these courses that both marine bio majors and environmental science majors take overlap. So you are going to be sitting in class with majors of the different majors, and you'll have a lot of interactions certainly in class. And so we really encourage all of our majors to talk to one another, to do projects with one another. And so, I don't know, Lauren, you want to talk about environmental science particularly and how that interacts with other majors?
Sure. One of the courses I'm teaching right now, called Environmental Management and Health, has environmental science students in it, but also some biologists and even one marine biologist. Even though it's not a marine focused course, he chose to expand his background a little bit. And so that's really exciting to be able to teach that diversity of students. Outside of the sciences too, in that class I just referenced, I have 2 construction management majors who are taking the environmental science courses for their minor. And so you also interact in some of our majors courses within the sciences with students outside of the marine and natural sciences areas. And also for environmental science specifically, our interdisciplinary electives, such as from anthropology, political science, and engineering, allow environmental scientists to take courses outside of the sciences that are relevant to environmental issues. And so you'll interact with more majors in that way too.
Thank you, Professor Byrne. We have another question. If I decide to major in environmental science and minor in marine biology and not double major, how does that affect my career opportunities?
Yeah, interesting question. I think the strength of having a minor in marine biology to complement the environmental science major would be expanding some of the basic biology, including Bio 103, the Intro to Marine Biology course. And so if you're interested in environmental careers in which you'd be working more on the marine biology side, I think having that combination would really enhance your selling yourself to potential employers who want to have that sort of background. In the environmental science program, the oceanography course is required, and there are some marine courses that fulfill the upper level electives. So even if you end up don't having the time to do a marine biology minor, you can still have some marine experience within the environmental science major.
Are career trajectories affected because somebody decides to have a double major in marine biology versus, doing the minor in marine biology? It sounds like Kirsten is wondering or deciding between having that double major versus maybe making it a minor.
Good question. I guess it depends on how much you want to limit, or not limit, but focus your future career paths on the biology side. Certainly having a double major could be seen as very favorable for some positions. But I think overall, and the other, my co-colleagues here can say something about this, but I think more so than what's on your transcript in terms of minor, double major, is really the experiences you have. As long as you have a solid major and then can build your resume with research experiences, internships, that I think will go a little bit further than whether you took an extra 2 or 3 courses to get a formal minor.
I would agree 100% with what Dr. Byrne would say, and I know that Olivia and Dr. Marston agree because we were just nodding in unison. But I would say that the extra coursework is great, but to take a little bit of a philosophical stance, it matters most what you do with the information and how you learn to think about problems. And science is really it's a very active discipline, right? It's not a body of information, but a process to solve problems. And so you can do that through any of the disciplines that we have, and you can augment those. We've got a lot of students who 10 to 15% of our students double major. That frequently is in chemistry, for example. So there are definitely ways to couple disciplinary programs, but I would second what Dr. Burns said in how you choose to shape those experience with doing research outside of class, internship possibilities, or taking that biological illustration class, and getting a breadth of coursework. But how do you use that? How do you package it? And how do you think about science and make contributions there? I think that is, in the end, among the most important things that comes out of your college education.
And if I could follow up for Kirsten, since you specifically asked about that combination of environmental science and marine biology, you might be interested to know that it is possible to do a double major. Students have done that in the past. It requires a little bit more thought and planning, maybe an extra course during the summer or winter intersession. But it is a possibility if you are interested in the double major. And then certainly, of course, you can do a minor in one or the other.
And at Roger Williams University, every student is assigned an advisor. And usually that advisor is in the same discipline as the major. And that is a person that you'll want to get to know right away because they will help you to consider all of the different possibilities for you sort of tweaking your program. And every student has a unique pathway. Every student, in order to graduate, has to meet the same basic requirements, but there are so many ways to piece all of those requirements together. Olivia, do you want to comment on the advising experience? And I'll just note it's a loaded question because I have worked with Olivia in academic advising. So
yeah. Dr. Weiser, is my advisor. Weiser the advisor. It's great. But I think my freshman year I was in his office like every week. So yeah, there was a lot of good stuff from the advisement, but it took me a while to kind of decide whether or not I wanted to do a double major. So it's definitely something you want to think about as you're entering college and during your freshman year, but also you don't have to decide right away as long as you make the time in your schedule later on. So I don't think I even decided my minor until I was in my junior year either. So there's a lot of time and advisement certainly helps with that. Just talking through everything personally helped me a lot. So, but there's so many different ways to fit in whatever you want to do. So.
I just want to say that, I have 10 freshman advisees this year, and then we follow them through, right? And so then I have some sophomores and juniors and some seniors who are graduating who I've been following for 4 years, which is really fun. But there's a lot of flexibility. And so if you come in and you think you want to marine bio, and then you decide that you want to be bio, or bio, and then you decide you want to do public health, or you come in as bio and decide that really you like more of the neuroscience psychology and you want to do that as a major and biology as a minor, there's so many different choices, and you don't have to know exactly what you're going to do as a freshman, right? And so we can help you make those decisions. And I think that I bet 3/4 of my advisees at some point are changing either majors or minors, or they flip things around, or they were marine bio and now they're bio, or they're bio and now they're public health, or they were psychology and now they're bio, you know, and so there's all kinds of different combinations. But don't worry if you don't know exactly what major or minor you want to do yet, because there is a lot of flexibility. I mean, some people have gone into business and they keep biology or marine biology as their minor, but now they're a business major, right? So there's all kinds of different things that you can do at Roger Williams. And that's sort of the great part, because there's all these different programs, right? We've had people who double major in biology and engineering, right? Because we have a School of Engineering. And so there's lots of choices.
And you hit on a national statistic there, you know, about 3/4 of students do change their minds, you know, a number of times before settling on one major. So if you're caught between two or unsure, you're normal. You're everybody else. And if you think you're super sure and you know you're on track, that's great. Statistics say you will change your mind, and that's okay.
So since we're talking about this, I just want to skip down to the question that if I change
I was just going to do that. Great minds.
does my advisor change? And yes, it will, right? So if you were a biology major and I was helping you, but you decide you're going to do psychology now as your primary major, you will switch advisor so that you have a major advisor in your major. But it goes the other way around too. So I have a couple students who are biology majors now who didn't come in as biology majors. So when they decided they really wanted to do biology and not sociology or whatever they were when they came in, then they moved to me as a biology advisor.
And a quick follow-up to that, you know, there are lots of different personalities in the world, and it is possible to change your advisor even if you don't change your major. If you find somebody that you're more comfortable talking to, or just within the major has a background that better matches your own, we do certainly allow that change to be made too.
And let me just add something, and then we can go back to these other questions. I don't want to skip them, but we also, for those of you who are interested in health professions, so maybe you're interested in being a PA or a veterinarian, or going to become an RN, or physical therapy, or MD, we have specific individuals within our department who are helpful advisors for that. So they advise those of you who are interested in pre-health professions. And so we can make sure that you have all the hours that you need when you apply to these other programs, either to be a PA or MD or whatever it is that you want to do. And so we have special advising for students who are interested in those pre-health professions.
So moving on to Kyle's question, are there any sites on or near campus where classes go to do outdoor work?
Well, I'm happy to chime in there because I head out to the field quite a bit with my classes. So you can definitely right on campus, you can rent kayak, not rent, but you can, the recreation center has kayaks available, so you can sign those out and head out onto the water for a little stroll along the shorelines of the campus. But one of my early lab experiences is we just show up on the down at the waterfront, and we head out snorkeling in the fall. In the spring, and that's definitely a lot colder. But yeah, absolutely. And I head down to the more ocean coast here rather than right on the bay at campus, because there's a lot of different species down there that work well for my classes. So I offer an 8 a.m. lab. I just ask students to show up a little bit earlier a couple times throughout the semester. I give the time back later on in the semester, but we head down. Takes 40 minutes or so to get down to Newport by car, and we go collecting there, get in the water. So we have an hour and a half on site, and then then we head back to campus with a little bit of time for people to get cleaned up and head off to their 11 a.m. class. I know the introduction to oceanography class, they head out on the boat right from the waterfront. Marine vertebrate zoology does. Our ichthyologist, Dr. Taylor, actually offers a lot of experiences on Saturdays because they tend to be 6 or 8 hour excursions. But Rhode Island is very much the ocean state, and so there's great opportunities for marine biologists to get out in the ocean, but that doesn't preclude field work in environmental science or biology either.
So if you look at the picture right behind Shamika, right? I mean, right behind her is the dock, right? And the water. And so that's about 3-minute walk from our labs and building. And so it is right there. And so this is where we can do, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Right. So that's the dock. That's where the boat, you get on the boat to head out. And it literally takes 3 minutes from our building to the bay.
I'll move out of the way of my, so this is a little bit further afield, but one of our local habitats that you can sample. If you ever go to Block Island, that's along the jetty right by Block Island. So there's great resources, great natural resources that we tap into for the experiential element of our coursework.
And as a field ecologist, I love that question. So I'll chime in. I'm trying to find, I think I brought it up, and then I will post a link to a little news story that the university put out a few years ago from our intro bio class, because we redesigned it to have more experiences out in the field on campus, because some of the challenges of getting lots of students in an intro course off campus preclude us going too far afield. But we have some great field terrestrial sites on campus in addition to the marine realm that all students are using in that intro course. For my soil ecology class that's taught in the fall, we spend actually the first 3 or 4 labs going out into the field on campus. And then about 15 minutes away, there is a forest preserve that we go to and hike and look at the soils and the landscape and do a little scavenger hunt for biodiversity in the soil. And then my urban ecology class, which does not have a lab, still has a field component. We set aside a few hours on a weekend. We just walk around parts of Bristol, actually, in town here, to look at some of the field ecology in the urban realm, which can be just as interesting and engaging as going out to wilder areas. And then, of course, our geology class includes going out and looking at some field sites with bedrock and wave action and that sort of thing as well.
Very cool.
Olivia, could you perhaps reflect about the Audubon Society? I don't know if you're out there that much, but from the AQS perspective?
I'm the senior aquarist over there. So through the wet lab, I work at the Audubon, the Rhode Island Audubon Society down in Bristol. So they have indoor aquarium exhibits that I take care of. We don't really do any outdoor work in that sense, but for one of my classes for my aquarium science major, I believe it was museum exhibit development, we actually had a partnership with the Audubon in which we visited over there and their entire grounds and like created a new exhibit for the Audubon itself. So we got to tour the entire grounds, including their outdoor aspect, and they have lots of really awesome protected areas down there and a really, really cool boardwalk. So when I worked at Roger Williams over the summer, I visited there a lot just for hiking and stuff, but it's a really beautiful area, and I feel fortunate to be able to experience both the outdoor aspect of it as well as the indoor and taking care of the animals there. So.
Nice. So Chris Dingley had a question. What sort of math requirements should I have for marine biology?
I'm happy to address that. There's 2 different ways that you can think about this. So we offer in all of these programs, there's 2 degrees. You could go with a Bachelor's of Arts degree, or a Bachelor's of Science degree. There are just two different approaches to majoring in any of these programs, bio, marine bio, environmental science. The Bachelor of Arts, you take math, a basic statistics course, and up to pre-calculus. And then in the Bachelor of Science, you would take a biostatistics course and math, 2 semesters of calculus. And then, so those 2 additional math classes, that is 8 credits worth of coursework in math. The BA makes up for that by taking 8 additional credits in biology coursework, upper level biology coursework. So to some extent, it depends upon what your future goals are. So if you are really interested in quantitative aspects like ecology or fisheries biology, population biology, those are disciplines that are a bit more quantitative. And so probably calculus would be recommended there. Though if you were to opt for the Bachelor of Arts option, and those disciplines became intriguing to you, the Bachelor of Arts wouldn't prevent you from pursuing those opportunities, but were you to continue into graduate school, they likely would say you should take more calculus to facilitate your studies in those programs. So there's 2 different approaches, but you're looking at 2 semesters of calculus or up through pre-calculus, depending on which program. And you know, which is the right program for you is a great conversation that you can have with your academic advisor. If you're taking pre-calc or calculus now and you perform well on the AP exams, if it's an AP course or if it's a credit-bearing college course, then that work can transfer into your time here. And that's great when that happens. It imparts some flexibility to your opportunities that you can pursue from Roger Williams.
When you come before the summer, before you enroll, there will be, I don't know, what is it called, Shamir? It's the introduction to, when you pick your courses, but there's
placement classes.
There's a math placement test. Yeah. And so wherever you are in math, that's where you'll start. And so even if you haven't had math to pre-calculus, it doesn't matter. You can start in a sequence and you can get to calculus without a problem. If you're already at calculus, that's great. You can just take the next class. So we can help you wherever you are in math to achieve what you want to achieve. Mm-hmm. And that's done, I'm sorry, it's not except for Students' Days. What is it called in the summer?
Orientation.
Orientation. Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Sorry. Yes. And during orientation, there will be a math placement, and they'll help you decide what is the best math class for you. So, and we'll help you wherever you can start, wherever you are.
Yeah. For example, I got placed into calculus based on my placement scores, but then I also took college credits in high school for calculus. So then I went right into Calc 2 when I came to college. So
double whammy.
Was not a good choice.
Yeah, I was actually just going to say that when students deposit, we will start to send out all of these things that you need to do over the summer to get prepared for classes in the fall. And ideally, we ask that students complete the placement before you get to orientation, so we can have that information to help you. But certainly, if you hold out, we'll try to work with you. But we'll have a date when that's due, so we can get you in all the classes that you need. We have a question here specifically for Olivia. Olivia, how do you manage the work for 2 majors and then also a minor, and be able to be part of a stage crew?
Yeah, great question. I think probably, to be honest, the most valuable thing that I learned in college was time management and being able to be better at that than I was in high school, that's for sure. I tend to also be an overbooker, but that's okay. So it's all just based on what you can handle. I didn't do a lot my freshman year just because I wanted to try to feel out how college was compared to high school. I think that was a good decision on that part. And then after freshman year, I kind of did everything. So there's lots of different things you can do. I'm not sure if there's one perfect way. I know what worked for me isn't going to work for everybody, but learning those time management skills, kind of, if it's important to you, you'll fit it in. So everything that I did was important to me to be able to be a part of. So I fit it in. So that was, I guess, kind of how I did that. So I'm not really sure.
Do any of the professors have any recommendations or tools, tips to help students succeed at the college level, whether they're double majoring or just keeping on top of their major?
I think from my perspective, being very detail oriented in terms of a schedule and following instructions. That's the best advice I can give. And it's especially important during our challenging times of online distance education. I was reviewing some student work today, and unfortunately there were a few students who were not detail oriented and completely missed some parts of the assignment. That is the easiest way to lose points, is to just not do the basic things that are part of the assignment. So what I find is that students who excel are the ones who are very thoughtful and paying attention to details.
Go ahead, Dr. Marston.
I was going to say, I said this already, but I'm really a lab person, and I really like doing science in the lab. And so I would encourage students to come and talk to faculty members about what they do. And so I have an active research program. I look at the evolution and ecology of viruses that live in Narragansett Bay. That are good viruses. These are good viruses. We need them. They're part of the ecosystem. They don't infect humans. And I always have students who work with me. So they work with me during the academic year. I have, 2 to 5 students who spend the summers with me in the lab doing research. And so, we go down and we isolate, or we collect seawater from various places around southern New England, and we bring it back and we look at all the viruses that are there, and we figure out what their genes are and how they're related to one another and how they evolve. And so I really like working with students in the lab. And outside, we do it in class, of course, in my genetics and virology class, but I like doing it outside of class. And so I guess I would encourage you to take advantage of these opportunities that we have for students to really figure out what they like to do. So I always tell this story and when I give acceptance students days, that I was going to be an ecologist, and I came to college sure that I was going to be an ecologist, and there was no way I was going to work in a lab. And at some point I decided, I did some ecology research, I tried it out as an undergraduate, and it was too messy, I don't know, it was cold in the field, everything got washed away, I was looking at invertebrates, you tried to, and so I found genetics, and I really like sitting in a lab, pipetting really tiny volumes that you can't even see the DNA that's in it. And it's so rewarding. I just love genetics, but you need to figure out what you like to do, right? And so we are here to have you practice these different things. Do you like being out in the field? Do you want to get up at 5:30 and go diving with Professor Weiser to look at seaweed? Is that that's really cool. Or do you like to sit in the lab with me with these little vials and do PCR to amplify genes? And so we offer you the opportunity to try all those things. And so I have students who come and say, I want to be a geneticist. And they hate it. They don't want to manipulate small volumes. And other students who find that, yeah, this is really cool. I'm going to go into biotechnology. I'm going to work as a lab tech, and this is what I'm going to do. So I would encourage you to try all the different things that we do to see what it is that you like doing in science. And then I had students who really thought they were going to be go into research, biological research. They were going to work in a cancer lab, and that's what they're going to do. And then they decided they're much more people-oriented, that they really wanted to talk to and interact with lots of people. And so they went to become a PA, right? A physician assistant, and work with the patients instead of developing the cures in the lab. And so you just need to figure out what you like to do.
I'll just build on that because there's a really broad spectrum. And so Dr. Marston highlighted sort of two endpoints there, like you're a lab person or you're a field person. And I'll put myself somewhere in the middle, and Dr. Marston and I collaborate a bit. I provide samples that are used in her genetics class. So I go out and collect seaweeds, and in her class, they sequence the DNA of those specimens, and we try to figure out how many different species of marine macroalgae or seaweed there are in Rhode Island. So I have a mix. I do a lot of work down in Panama. I've had students work with me down there and in Rhode Island. So we're in the field, but we bring things back to the lab. So you can definitely mix it up. And I've had, it's rare when I say, would you believe you can have a job studying seaweed? And everybody goes, oh yeah, absolutely, you can have a job studying seaweed, right? That's the rare response. But you can, and it ultimately, it doesn't matter whether you like seaweed or not. And I tell this to students routinely. I haven't had any students who have done research in my lab and then gone on into the discipline of seaweed biology, which is called phycology, to be phycologists. And I've been here 15 years. I've worked with a lot of students. But what I can tell you is that without doubt, every single one of those students is employed. And it's not because they studied seaweeds, but I do believe that it has something to do with the fact that they invested in a research experience that really taught them a set of, or engaged them in a different kind of thinking about science. And I think that is, if you were to ask me what is the one thing that our program offers to students that is better than anything else, I think it's that. I think it's that opportunity to work with the scientists in our program and to think about how science is done, how to solve problems. You get the opportunity to troubleshoot, to figure out why isn't this working? And we don't have the answers. So we're trying to find the answers, and we value the opportunity to collaborate with students in finding those answers. It's not contrived. It is very much an active research department where we need the students to come in and help us think and rethink about some of the basic problems in the sciences. So I would say opening yourself to the possibility of research, and it matters less about which field you go into, but that you get some research experience. And I will say that you can get that in your classes as well as outside of your classes. There's really, really good opportunities for that. Olivia has done a lot of research in and out of classes. Do you want to talk about the research that you've done, Olivia?
Yeah, sure. I did a lot of research in your class, in phycology itself. Of course, a lot of my other classes as well, marine vertebrate zoology, ichthyology, which I'm in right now, study of fish, and a lot of, again, stuff that we did in classroom. Then I was also employed by the wet lab my freshman year, so technically I was a research assistant down there, and I was in the microalgae copepod unit, so I learned how to culture and take care of microalgae in copepods, and also was in their husbandry and larval program down there. But then recently this semester, so I really am interested in aquariums and how they're built and things like that. So what I ended up doing was building a sulfur denitrator, which is like an attachment onto a system that removes a very important waste product. So basically, I worked with Dr. Andrew Ryan very closely to build this myself and get it ready and then do testing on it. And then now I'm writing the actual thesis on it and things like that. So I've gotten the whole entire process. So never thought I would like research as much as I do. I'm definitely more of a people person myself, but research has definitely been more fun than I thought it would be. So it's cool to kind of like go into one area and feel like you know a a ton about it and be able to like say, oh my gosh, I built this, or I know how this works just a little bit better now. So.
And Olivia, it sounds like you're drawing from your experiences in chemistry, math and statistics, as well as biology, right?
No, I was going to say
Yeah.
stage crew. She's on the stage crew and she
Yeah.
builds things. And now she's doing
Yeah.
things in the wet lab and she's building things there too.
Yeah, the fun thing about this project and why I liked it so much is because it combined chemistry and biology and aquariums and the organisms that I love so much, and engineering, even though I've never done any engineering in my life. But it all kind of combines it into this one common thing in which I can talk to a bunch of different people. I can talk to my chemistry professor, I talk to my physics professor, I talk to Dr. Weiser about this, and they all have some sort of input into my project. So mine's a bit cool in that sense. So, but yeah, I got to bring in a lot of aspects of my life that I like into it, which was really fun just because overall then I liked it even more. So.
Very cool. Thank you, Olivia. We have another question. Do certain classes require you to learn how to dive?
I guess I can take that as the marine biologist. So there's no classes that require you to dive. We do offer a scientific diving course on campus, and Olivia has taken that class. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I took that class actually last semester. Really fun. You get to literally dive right off campus, but then also we went into Jamestown and Newport and did a lot of diving in that area as well. You do have to have your beginner's open dive certification, which I received working at Roger Williams over the summer. I went to a local dive shop and did it there. So having that certification and then going into scientific diving, you get to dive a lot more. We dove every week, which is really cool to be able to just dive for a class. But you learn like a lot, and then how science and how you can manipulate your research projects and even be involved in somebody else's as a researcher rather than just kind of like recreational diving. You know, you're down there how to look at things and how to experience them as a scientist rather than just a diver.
Yeah, and I would say what the goal of the class ultimately is that you can conduct research, and you know, breathing is completely secondary, as if you are in a terrestrial habitat.
Mm-hmm.
The course can also be taken through the Bermuda Institute of Ocean Sciences, which is a study abroad. It's a facility where a study abroad program in Bermuda is offered. That is a really good fit for our marine biologists. You can get, you take several classes there, tropical coral reef ecology, tropical marine invertebrate zoology, the research diving class, which then requires you to have your open water certification already. And then you undertake a pretty substantive research project down there as well. So that program fits very well with the marine biology program requirements, but it's not exclusive per se to marine biologists. But so those are the, some faculty have a research diving component to their research. So there might be opportunities for students to get involved at that level as well. When I was going to Panama with some regularity, I had several students who went scuba diving with me down there to collect seaweeds. So, but what I would say is if you are a marine biologist and you like getting in the water, you should absolutely bring your masks, fins, and snorkels with you to campus, because you can go snorkeling right on the waterfront. And it's a great site to go snorkeling, and there's lots of other sites that are not too distant or that you could explore as part of your coursework as well.
Yeah, one of the best days we had diving in that class was right off the dock there. So it's, depending on the weather you get, it's still a really cool area to snorkel, to dive in.
Wonderful. I don't see any other questions. It looks like we have about 8 minutes left in the session. Do any of the professors have anything that they would like to share with students? Maybe things that we didn't get questions about today, but that you think are, are useful things for students to know about the program, or Roger?
I'll offer something. I will tell you that I absolutely love what I do. I love sharing my knowledge, my love of exploring marine habitats and seaweed biodiversity with other people. I feel very fortunate to be in the position that this is what I get to do with my job. And I can tell you that I teach unapologetically about seaweed biodiversity, and because I absolutely love it, and my goal is to make it a good experience for you. We're living in kind of weird times right now, right? Where there's a lot of uncertainty, and what I can say is that I have never seen such drive and motivation out of my colleagues than I have right now, when we're all thinking about how to transition our experiences to the online environment and still offer something that is engaging and meaningful and rewarding. So, I work in this fantastic department with great collaborators, world-class scientists. There is such a high level of commitment to students and student opportunity. We are a department that is very well funded externally, and while dollar values are something that can be bragged about, the translation here is really that these research opportunities turn into employment opportunities for students, and engaging experiential hands-on opportunities, whether it is within the classroom environment or whether it's external to your classes. So the productivity of the scientists who are going to be the instructors in your class, who are absolutely committed to instruction, to teaching you, making that a good experience, they are equally valued in their disciplines for their scholarly contributions. And so it's just I will brag without reservation about my colleagues in the department, and it is an extraordinarily cordial and collaborative environment. And so, we welcome you and look forward to the opportunity to be able to share some of the things that we know with you and learn with you in the process as well. So we certainly hope that that you'll think carefully about the opportunities that Roger Williams University has to offer you and within our department.
I'd just like to add that you will be known. And so our classes are small. And so even if we have a lot of people taking intro bio, they're in small sections. And so I teach a course with 18 students who are in virology, and maybe 30 to 36 that are in genetics. And I know everybody's name, right? And so the classrooms are small, and all 30 of my genetic students are there together, and I can call on people and I can ask them questions. And I see them for 3 hours in the lecture and 3 hours in lab. So I know these students really well. And so you are going to get to work with faculty members who know your name and who you can discuss all kinds of things and ask questions with. So I really like that. I really like knowing all of my students. That's the fun part for me.
And I'll pick up with that because I agree with Dr. Marston 100%. It's one of the reasons why I'm at Roger Williams University, is because I really appreciate this small hands-on learning environment that we can cultivate in our small classes. And then to pick up with what Dr. Weiser said about the uncertainty of the future, we're in the middle of a global crisis. But as I said to my students when we started online a couple weeks ago, these moments can really focus our minds on what's most important. And apart from friends and family and our individual health, I think what's great about being in college at this time is that learning is one of the best ways to prepare for the future ahead. And so we can really use this opportunity to focus more than we ever have on the value of learning And that's what I'm working with my students on, and hope that when we come out on the other side of this crisis, we'll all be better prepared by having focused on our learning, especially about environmental issues and biology, from small scales like Dr. Marston studies to the big scales that I'm more interested in of ecosystems. We need to really think critically about how we're interacting with the environment and other organisms to be more sustainable into the future. And of course, learning about all that is what you can do here in our program, as you've heard about. So I hope we'll see many of you in the fall. For the first time, since we're only seeing your names right now, except for Benjamin with his fungus. That's a beautiful basidium I see there.
Thank you so much. So we are at 5:58. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. I've put up the professor's email addresses there in the chat so everyone can see. Certainly, if you have other questions, feel free to follow up with them. We will have a number of other sessions happening to go over these programs. I want to plug those weekend sessions where I think there'll be much more of a deep dive into the sessions and doing full overviews. And also just contact us, outside of the session times. Some of them will be posted on the website, and that's why we're recording them, so that if you have, maybe a family member or you just want to see it again and hear the answers again, you can pull up the website and do that. But we're also working on other ways to connect you all to each other and to folks in the community. So keep an eye out for our virtual communities that are going to be coming out. There's going to be a platform that groups you all by your schools, and then also by social interests and other extracurricular activities. And then you're going to be able to connect with each other, like I said, but also with faculty and staff and current students. So keep an eye out for those. And of course, use your admissions counselor as a resource. That person can answer any questions you have or connect you to these wonderful folks on campus to answer those questions for you. So thank you once again. We look forward to seeing you in the fall, and keep in touch. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.